Okay, let me also say this because it was something else I forgot. As far as these Country Wayne skits are concerned, I'm so confused. I'm to the point that you're never gonna get a conclusion. There's never gonna be consequences and repercussions the way that it's supposed to be. And in reality, there are people that really do get away with stuff and nothing happens to them until later on. So it's gonna take a while for Anthony to get his karma. And just like Wayne ain't never go through his, Mike ain't never gonna go through his. The ones that are writing ain't never gonna deal with consequences, repercussions, and karma. They ain't never gonna face it, they never gonna deal with it. So in the end, I don't think that these actors should be writing the skits, to be honest. They shouldn't. Like I said, a lot of people didn't like the violence that went on. That's why the Rico and Ty and that situation ended. But now you're bringing Diablo into the situation. So you're pretty much doing the same thing that it was when it was Diva and D and all of them. But yet you're still bringing drugs and the gang life and all of that stuff still back into the skits. Well, if that's the case, you should have just kept Rico and Francisco and Natasha and all of them. There's no point of constantly doing it if people have an issue when it comes to that particular skit. There's no point. So, like I said, they need to really think of and watch a bunch of things to really pay attention to what people want. Like I said, people watch forever and they waiting on part two. And part two gonna be good. So season two is definitely gonna be good. It's gonna be at least a season three. It's gonna be a season two and then a season three and maybe a season four. Just like they did with Emily in Paris. Now, let me tell y'all about a show that I was watching called Sneaky Links, right? This show is about people that bring back their exes, an ex of theirs that basically essentially was a sneaky link, but there might be some type of feelings there. Now, this show is really good because it shows things in two parts. When you're a sneaky link and you're a side chick and you're a groupie and you're in the sex industry, regardless of which one it is, you're never going to be the girl they go out with. You're never going to be the girl or the guy that they're seen in public with. You're never going to be the person that they really care for, but you're going to be the person that's going to be the convenience. The reason why what you want can be a bad thing is because it may not be reciprocated and it will be used against you to basically destroy you. People will take your wants and they will pretty much use it to their advantage. Because you want this thing so bad, what you're willing to do for it is what makes it wrong. If you have to go through all these negative things and go through all these hoops and bounds to get what you want, then I don't recommend that you do it. If that person got multiple women, then he's not your person. If your environment is your problem and you keep meeting the same type of people, it's your environment that's a problem. And you need to leave your environment. If you're going through medical issues and you keep having the same issues, then you need to look at what you're consuming and what you're acknowledging and decide as far as what you're putting into your system, is that what making you sick? So if you want to eliminate your stress, if you want to actually be able to maintain what you have, then you need to stop trying to attract people that's not going to do nothing but take it away from you and do nothing but steal it. You have to understand there are people out here that are basically full of sloth, laziness, and they will date somebody, get pregnant, do all of these things just so they can get half your income. Because you're going to be the one that's going to be stupid enough to be with them. You're going to be the one that's stupid enough to build them up and all this other stuff. And it ain't worth it. Now, I'm supposed to be watching church, and I'm getting ready to watch church in a second because I always skip the music part until they get ready to do church. And I'm about to watch Philip Michael Anthony and watch 2019, 2819. and I'm getting ready to get my church in, and then I got to do my podcast, which is about God, and I got to do that one today, and do my podcast. So, like I said, at the end of the day, the word wants is to me one of the most demonic things ever. Because wants is the reason why you do the things you do that go against everything that is of God, everything that is your religion, everything that is right, everything that basically, essentially, you shouldn't be doing just because you want what you want. For no other reason than that. The word wants. The word desire. So desire ain't nothing but another thing for wants. So like I said, you can want something and you yourself can go out there and buy it if you can afford it. But if you can't afford it, it ain't meant for you to have at that time. But you may make money and you may go get this specific thing and it ends up regretting it later on. So let me give you an example. My Apple computer broke, right? It works, but you can't see nothing on the screen. Okay? So I got to take it when I go home to do a diagnostic on it. But I got to get another computer because I have to do 2 interviews on Wednesday and Thursday. Okay? So, Wednesday and Thursday, I got to do it. So, let me say it like this here. When it comes to these situations and you're dealing with a situation like that, yes, I have to get a computer. I found one, and I'm going to get the computer, but I got to figure out if I'm going to get it from Amazon or Walmart. Both of them going to be here on the same day, but I need to get it because I got to set it up. I got to put it together and be able to get into everything to have it set up to use it for my interview. I'm not going to use my phone. So I have 2 interviews that I'm doing about health and wellness. So I got to start getting prepped. So today on my health and wellness channel, I've got to talk about these 2 people that I'm going to be interviewing, which I'm so excited to do. And it will be on my multiple channels, which I'm excited about. But what I want people to understand is it is a want because it's something that I need in order to build my business and brand. So it's one thing if I say, okay, I want a house, but then I think about it, I'm like, is it something I really need? Because if something happens to me, my son who's autistic is not going to be able to maintain that house. But will it be good for him to have a house? Yes, because that way, whoever it is that's going to be taking care of him can just move into my house. They can decorate the way they want to and move in. The house is paid for. But also, I think about when it comes to what I want, when it comes to not working for nobody no more and making my own money, it's the same thing. But when it comes to people, it's not the same way. Because just because you want something doesn't mean that necessarily when it comes to that person, it's going to be reciprocated. People will take what you want and dangle it in your face. And the problem is what you're willing to do to get what you want negatively is the problem. So what I learned in my recovery is that if I got to go through all these hoops and bounds to be with you and go through all these hoops and bounds to get what I want because you have it, then I don't want it. I want whatever's meant for me. So in the end, like I said, you have to be able to understand that when it comes down to whatever it is that you're choosing to do, you got to figure out what makes you happy. So like I said, in the end, it's like this. Everybody has wants and needs, but that doesn't mean the other person is going to reciprocate because it ain't about you, it's about them. So if you're the person that's lowering yourself and that other person is not, you're not evenly yoked. And that's what evenly yoked means, is that both of y'all are on the same page. Each person is getting what they want. Each person is happy. If that's not happening, then that's not your person. And you need to walk away. So no matter how much you want somebody and how much you care about somebody and how much you love them, it ain't worth staying if you're not getting what you need and what you want. Then you need to leave. Because you're not doing nothing but prolonging the inevitable, and you're not going to do nothing but end up being the person hurt. And the reason you hurt because the person you wanted never wanted you in the first place. But they took the fact that you wanted them and took advantage